Back in Canada. I got home yesterday. Took it easy for the night. Got to watch some really, really good racing from our team in general. Now I'm taking the other team to the bus. I wanted to go over everything. Geez, a great day yesterday. The only blemish was White Tiger made a break. James has been lobbying. What's that? Cake race, good. I'll talk about him in a minute. James has been lobbying for flip-flops on White Tiger, and we talked about it, Dominic and I and James and Amy even, about the horse, and Amy said the horse's feet are always cold. They don't seem to bother him, but James swears the way his gait is that they are, and they can from time to time. So, we'll have another discussion today at the barn about it. I want to hear what Dominic thinks about the horse's feet, and if we make a change, then we make a change. I just think from the rail, James is saying that White Tiger doesn't get aggressive at the gate anymore, which I think he forgets that that's not a bad thing, right? It's not White Tiger used to fall off the gate all the time, then he got leaving really good. And yes, when he's on his game, he can sprint out of there like he did last week. But you can't always do that. And a much more relaxed White Tiger is a better White Tiger. You can use him for the entire year. And I think he's still going through these transitional phases, even at his age of, I think he's 7. Even at 7, he's still changing a little bit. So we've made numerous shoeing changes to White Tiger over the years, and I think moving him to a flip-flop, or even as I said to James last night, maybe one of the bars or something like that, if you want to see how he travels in those. My concern is he touches his elbows, right? If you guys notice, those elbow boots were white when we bought them, and they're dark brown now from him hitting them. And you might say, well, is there anything you can do? We've tried it. You got to understand, every time you make an aggressive change, if you lower him really low, trying to keep him out of his elbows, what you may do... Where'd all the kids come from here? Is there another bus stop here?
Yeah.
No.
4 hours.
What you may end up doing is actually putting a little more pressure on his feet than you'd like. So this minor cat and mouse game all the time with some of these horses and their shoeing, it sounds complex, but at the end of the day, as I said to James, we're really trying to get the best results we can, and with the horse in mind in doing it. So if you want to try we have the elbow boots on him. It's not like he's going to hit them that much worse. Yeah, honey. That's okay, sweetheart. All right, well, you know what? Here, hold on. Look. It's 7:58. If you want your son...
My phone says 8:01.
It doesn't matter. It's 8:01 then. You still got 12 minutes. We can just go back and get them, and Ollie's going to run in and get them for you if you ask him nice. Well, I don't hear you asking him nice. I just don't feel it. I'm not feeling the heartfelt, Ollie, could you do me a big favor? Could you go in and get my glasses for me? I don't hear that. Oh, that's better. You're getting closer. So he's gonna go in. He's gonna go in and get them for you, honey.
Where are they?
I think I saw them at the door. Because definitely the 4-year-old needs sunglasses. The argument. The other side of that argument is simple. The other argument of the side of that argument is very, very simple. If his feet are in fact bothering him a little bit, by putting the added protection on his feet, would it not have him strike the ground and exit the ground properly in his gait and not hit his elbows? That's a possibility too. And it is worth noting that White Tiger has worn flip-flops for... He may have wore them for the better part of a year at any given time. So it isn't a huge change, but I believe that is where we're leaning to, and that will be the discussion of the day. 2 discussions between James and I, Dominic and Amy. And the second discussion is, James is not a fan of going to the Battle of Bunker Hill next week. Now, I think that the biggest part of his argument was predicated on the fact that he believed shipping was too far for them. And I told him, I said, James, the destination of this shipping this week, I changed it so that it was easier to get to Plainridge. Now, let me explain. It's 7 or 8 hours to either Megan's or Beckwith's or the Poconos. It's around the same, give or take. The difference is Mark and Melissa Beckwith's farm and stable at Saratoga is 2.5 from Plain Ridge. Whereas Megan, this is a big reason that Crantini wasn't going also. Megan's farm to Plain Ridge about, I think, 4.5 miles. So I wanted Crantini to get with Megan. We entered him in the Poconos today, hoping he's coming from a barn where there were a couple of sick ones. So we're hoping he's okay and he's ready to race. I left that up to Megan. She's going to get back to us today, I think, with it. But that long ship was the other reason we didn't want to take Crantini to the Battle of Bunker Hill. One, I think there's only going to be 2 divisions, so having 3 horses there makes no sense. That's not your bus, babe. And 2, the ship itself. Beckwith is 2.5. It's nothing. And Megan's is almost twice that. So I think James thought that maybe they were going to Megan's right away, and he'd be right then. And I told him, I said, I think you're basing your friction towards this race next week on improper information. I chose Mark and Melissa Beckwith's barn because they were close to Plain Ridge, right? That's why we chose them. Had I sent them to Megan, then yes, she would have a great argument. And he said, what about after the race? They go back, go out in the field the next day, to freshen up a little bit, and then they will ship 3 hours to Megan's. So it's really not a big deal. In fact, this played a role in me making the decision where we were going to send these horses this week. Having said that, I told him, I said, think about it now that you understand exactly what's going on. Addie, I'm doing a video. What's wrong?
I'm going to see Glenn at school.
Oh, cool.
And by the way, why did you say that Megan's to Plain Ridge was 4 miles?
It's 4 hours, 4.5 hours.
Yeah, but you said 4 miles.
Oh, thank you. You know what's 4 miles? The walk home from your school. That's 4 miles. So again, a couple of discussions they have today in the barn. Ultimately, when it comes to the horses going or not, I want to make sure James is comfortable. I don't want to get in a situation where the horses don't race good. Maybe I made a mistake, and then you're like, told you so. And I don't want to be in that situation. I want to make sure we have the right path for all of our horses moving forward. And I still believe, as I played out in my head, that Carter Michael Dio and Spitfire Overseas should be at Plain Ridge. Now, I'll tell you, from the conversation I have, as good as Carter Michael Dio was and as good as James talked about him, I still think he thinks that Spitfire is a better horse. And they both look amazing. Guys, stop. They both look amazing. And I was a little surprised when he said, well, Spitfire, it'd be nice to wait 1 more week. You're going to protect Spitfire. You just win 53 with Carter Michael Dio. I know. I think he's got a soft spot for Spitfire, and it's hard not to deny. I mean, the qualifier from Spitfire was awesome. That's another thing, is that Spitfire is coming in maybe without a race under his belt, and maybe James is worried about that. But I've seen the entries for the eligibilities for this race. There's a couple of horses in there, like Herodotus winning 53 at the Meadowlands, but Ollie, 53 at the Meadowlands is not 53 at Mohawk, and we raced against Herodotus last year, and unless he's improved, which he may have, he certainly was bred to be, but unless he's improved, I think he's got to catch up to Carter Michael Dio and even Spitfire potentially, not the other way around. And I could be wrong. Ollie, stop. I could be wrong in that regard. So, after talking to the blacksmith yesterday and talking to the vet after we did the work to brace for landing, I'm still leaning towards who I think is the best one of the entire group. But we may all be wrong. Listen, this is a great problem to have. We have Crantini, who qualified in 56 and looks great. My only concern is he 100% healthy with a long ship and then racing today at the Poconos. We have Carter Michael Dio, who's just winning 53 and 4, last half in 55 and a piece at Mohawk, the right way. Spitfire Overseas. And what I liked about him last night is James, I thought Anthony would have pushed on at the quarter pole. And you guys know that, which is fine. I liked the way James drove the horse. James drove the horse in a nice conservative way, and he raced great. Spitfire Overseas, his qualifier was great. He's coming in very, very sharp. So there's 3, and then you have Brace for Landing, who I've touted for quite a while, and that is 4. And there's a number of other pretty good horses. So let's get into yesterday. What took place yesterday? Red Overbach raced good again, and Maggie said, he's off a little bit. We want to work on him. I said, that's wonderful. 54 and a piece, a great mile for him. You keep working on him. If we run it, she goes, there might be some classes if we ship to Tioga. there might be some classes there. There might be the class that he raced in yesterday at the Poconos. And I said, at some point, he's going to run into a wall where, you know, we needed to improve a little bit more where he could race in like an open at Tioga. Not, hey, we could find a class. And she's doing a good job trying to move the horses around. But as I said to her, a horse like Red Overbach eventually probably ends up back on gate because he's worth more for somebody to ship around and bounce around with than he is to put in a straight claimer. So I think at some point Red Overbach may end up being moved on. There's a couple of horses that are pretty good horses, but again, there's hurdles for all of them. Whether it's at non-winners of 3, that hard line that we talk about all the time in the non-winners of 3, or whether it's a little softer. Hey, now he's in the non-winners of 7. Well, we can't really bounce him around. There's nowhere to bounce this horse. At that point, we have to look at potentially moving them. And this is exactly why we were trying to place horses in Oak Grove the way we did. So let's get right to it. Red Overbach was second, raced really good yesterday. I was really, really happy with him. Megan said there was room for improvement with him, so we'll see how he races next time. And again, he's on a watch list. We're just going to, you know, evaluate, reevaluate, and rinse and repeat until, you know, maybe there is a line of classes he can follow somewhere in that area that makes sense. But that'll be up to Red Overbach and Megan and us. Then we shifted to Oak Grove for the day. And I'll do both those horses and then move on to Mohawk because I got it pulled up here on Facebook. Landing Strip was good. I told Johnny, I said, hey, you got the 8-hole. Ollie, what are you doing back there? Can you settle for 1 second? Is that a yes? Can you settle for 1 second? Be great. Well, honey, your bus isn't here yet because it's 8:09. Your bus isn't coming for 6 minutes.
It's 8:11.
No,
My phone says 8:11.
your phone's wrong.
No, you're not.
I had it, Ollie. So Landing Strip, I said to Johnny, hey. He's down there to race. You know, don't get away 8th on a 5/8 mile track with this horse. Forward. Now, there was one extreme to the other, and to be fair to Johnny, it didn't look like there was a whole lot of room in between. There was the front, and then there was the back of the parking lot. And I'm fine with him racing him. Now, obviously, I'd rather not, you know, paralyze him next week the same way. You know, get away in the 2 or 3 hole would be good. But this will do this horse some good. The one thing I note from this guy in the video is he's still got a skinny butt, right? I like to see him bulk up. And when you see a horse, still he's racing good. Not to where we wanted him to, but he's racing good. When you see a horse that is underdefined like that, there's only one way to go, and that's up. The horse is only going to get better as he puts muscle on. And this is a good spot for him to be racing. Era of Love was great again. I know one of our clients said, I hope we don't lose her. I just don't think we will. Are they really going to give us $29,000? You know, there are people saying we overpaid for Era of Love when we bought the filly. Now they're going to have to grossly overpay for her off that. And every time she goes behind the gate and every time she makes $1, it's just one step forward to them not being able to claim her. So Era of Love is the perfect horse for us. She's easy to be around. Eric loves her. And he said, you know, there's a mini series coming up. I said, just put her in where she can win. That's it. I never want to see her go behind the gate 8 or 10 to 1. Put her in where she's going to be like she was yesterday. 3 to 5, super. And just keep pounding the strike zone with her. And that's it. And that's why we bought her. And hopefully we can see more of that today with Stay Special. A lot of questions swirling around this filly. She's been off 3 plus weeks. Only had one kind of stiff training. Her knees bug her, but I think we have them under control and managing them well now. We'll see today. We'll see how that plays out. So he had Landing Strip, who raced good, finished second. Tough mile for him, and he raced tough. And then we had Era of Love, who I thought raced just good enough to win again. I said to Eric, Johnny said, she's really sluggish on the front end. Just text Mom and tell her I'll call her back. Really sluggish on the front end. And I said, just open her up a bit. Maybe put a hood with cups on her. And when you warm her up, I know that Eric's like super old school. He just jogs her to warm her up. Nice little sweet little warm up. Yeah, put the harness on her and go a mile with her. He said, and he goes, well, it's getting hot down here. Okay, go 4 races out then rather than 3. But I want her on her toes when she goes behind the gate. And it's very important. Now, she might just be one of those horses that grinds along and every week she wins by half a length. Super. But let's have her on her toes. Let's have her on her toes first and foremost. Let's have her on her toes first and foremost. Make sure she's the best she can be every single week. For right now, she is exactly what we need her to be. This is what we bought Era of Love to do. You know, it's like a major league team. We traded for this person to be a 7th inning pitcher, and they're doing their job. She's getting to the winner's circle. So good for her. Great job by Eric Paddle and Kathy also. Just doing a... Shh. You're upside down, babe. Your glasses are upside down. Ollie, help her put them on, honey. So Arrow of Love doing exactly what we need her to be. The Oak Grove crew is racing tremendously. And as I said, Eric and Kathy just doing a great job there. Then we go to Mohawk, and Dominic and Harry had a big outing there. Dominic had a massive one, man. His stable's starting to come around. I feel bad, you know. That's the other thing. Spitfire's leaving, Carter's leaving. Dominic worked all winter on these horses. That's his job. But I hope and appreciate that everybody understands that this horse didn't just come out of the field and race last night. There was a long way from the field, from his 2000 season to the turnout field to ask Mom what you wanted, honey. To
what?
she called me. I'm just wondering what you wanted.
I must have responded.
Okay. To the racetrack, right? Last night. The reason Spitfire Overseas was a week later than Carter was because he wasn't quite ready yet. And understanding that, recognizing that, and then implementing a different plan, pivoting, is very, very important in the plan. And James plays a big role in that, and understanding they're not quite ready to go yet because he knows he's sitting behind them. And Dominic also making the decision, hey, we're going to wait one more week with Spitfire. He's not quite ready. And that is complete professionalism top to bottom by everybody involved with Carter and the caretakers too. You know, Tyson that takes care of him, and Carrie that took care of him, and I think Michelle had them. Teresa has Spitfire. These people take their job seriously, and it shows on the track, and we don't always understand and recognize the entire body of work that went into and goes into these horses being where they are. We see them qualify, we're like, yeah, great. We see them racing, everybody's happy. You see them in a circle, everybody's high-fiving each other. But it took a lot to get there, and Dominic Ledoux put his blood, sweat, and tears into these horses, and I do feel bad that they just go and leave, but that's the job, right? So White Tiger, we've seen this show before. White Tigers, there's your bus, guys.
I'm ready.
Help your sister get out and help her put her glasses on. Do you want me to help you get your glasses on? Yeah, but I want to put them over your ears properly. Ollie, can you take your sister's bag, please? Thank you. Out you go. Okay, love you. Have a good day.
Ollie, do you have her bag?
He has her bag.
Let's go.
Have a good day, guys.
Bye.
Love you. So, we've seen the White Tiger show before. We've seen the White Tiger show before where he's made mistakes. Listen, White Tiger's going to race, 30 times in a year? He's going to squander 8 of those starts. If we can keep it to 8, that's great. If you can keep it to 8, that'll be great. And that's the way it is with White Tiger. And, I know it's frustrating to James, but White Tiger is always on the move. He's always changing, right? And you have to be one step ahead of him. And if James is swearing that it's his feet, because he trots like it's feet, he acts like it's his feet, although clinically we don't see it. There's no heat there. Under the testers, it doesn't appear to be that his feet bother him. There's no real reason not to take this seriously. So we'll look at his feet again this morning, have that discussion, and move forward with White Tiger. As you can see, he's always on the precipice of being that 53, 54, or sometimes even faster trotter. I would say he's on the way up, and there's speed bumps along the way for White Tiger. That's the best way that I can look at it right now. And I know that's frustrating, but for most of the people that are involved with White Tiger, you've been here for a long time and you know what he's all about. This horse is closing in and will get to $500,000 if we're lucky by the end of the year, made life. But it's not smooth sailing the whole way through. So he was great. I think one of the most, a couple of the horses in the middle here weren't recognized enough over the last little while. And, everybody's like Unbeatable Kemp. James could have put him in a bad spot a couple of times. He made a break a couple of times. They're like, oh, maybe James doesn't get along with Unbeatable Kemp. James is just frustrated with Unbeatable Kemp, and Unbeatable Kemp was frustrated with racing at the time. His knees were hurting him. We were trying to get him on a path where he could move forward. And although I was pissed last night that James didn't move the horse, I think when you step back and look at the race, you can say to yourself, that was Unbeatable Kemp. That was the horse we've been trying to find, that we were looking for quite some time. That is Unbeatable Kemp. Whereas had he moved him first over, he might have got the job done. He might not have, but maybe we wouldn't have seen the Kemp. And I guess the argument for Kemp is he only fits that class for one win. Whether he got it last night, 2 weeks ago, or next week, he only gets one crack at it, and then he has to move out of there. So I guess making sure he's firing on all cylinders when he wins that race is important also, whether it's by accident or not. And I think the unbeatable Kemp that I saw last night, sound, confident, and sprinting on the end of it, 27-1, we haven't seen for quite a while. And I think he's coming back now. Now his knees are starting to settle. We got him on a management program that we can confidently say, he is progressing. And I think the horse that I saw last night, in the race that I saw last night, clearly showed that. Without me talking about it, you can go back and look at it for yourself. That was unbeatable Kemp, the one that we've been waiting for. And stay close. I told you guys. I think I told you the other day, if James took the horse and we left the hobbles on him, and I told James, I said, you can pick over him. If I drive him, he's going right downtown. He said, he can't leave that much now, and you got to watch him. I said, then you better pick him, because if I drive him, he's going right down the highway. And instead, James picked him and went right down the highway with him. Not only did he go down the highway, but he looked wrapped up going under the wire. I told you guys when I trained him a month ago, 3.5 weeks ago, and then when James qualified him, I told you that I thought that was the best form of stay close I'd ever seen. We took the sour lemons of him injuring his eye, and I think turned it into some pretty good lemonade with that extra weight we were able to put on him. For 1.5 years, we worked to put weight on this horse and couldn't. But when he was down, when he was off because he injured his eye and we were treating his eye, he was still eating good. And he put on a good 150 pounds, and this is a different animal. And I think you're going to see that in the very near future. Stay Close is another horse, a different Stay Close, and a much better Stay Close. Still under 40 starts lifetime, this horse. So I think you're going to see a very different animal over the next little while with Stay Close. So we had an unfortunate break with White Tiger. We're going to work on that and tinker with him today. Stay Close was amazing. Unbeatable Kemp was amazing. And then Carter Michael Dio put in one of the most impressive performances you're going to see of a 3-year-old, at least this time of year. Just the thing that I liked the most about him. Now remember, he missed the gate last week because he was trying to time the gate. He did not miss the gate last night. He put him right up on the gate. And then the thing I loved about him was coming out of the gate and around the first turn when there was a little skirmish, there was horses crossing down in front of him. James was trying to find a hole for him. There wasn't any. Finally had to back him into a hole, which is very un-Carter-like. Backed him into a hole, then ended up second over. He behaved, waited. Horse made a break and jostled him. He almost hooked his wheel. Then wheeled him out, and then when he hit his best stride, boom, gone, attack, drive away. That was the perfect performance for Carter Michael Dio. James drove him great, and the horse looked amazing. And there is going to be a discussion today about the Battle of Bunker Hill. I believe they should be going there, both him and Spitfire. James is always super protective. The race is an unknown, but with knowing the nominations, it's not really that unknown. Now, the shipping was a problem, but I fixed that. As I said to James, the information you were going on when you said it was going to be too hard on them is incorrect. I'm going to Saratoga, not going to Megan's farm. By going to Saratoga, you're less than 2.5 hours to Plainridge, where if I went to Megan's, you're over 4. So the argument you're making is correct. It's just based on the wrong information. Those two horses are going to Mark and Melissa Beckwith for their first start. So that's the plan with them. I know that James, and even more, Spitfire Overseas, there's something about that horse that James just is really in love with. He loves Carter Michael Dio, but I get the distinct feeling that he thinks Spitfire is the best horse we've ever had. And I'm not saying I disagree, because he is a good horse. I think that Brace for Landing's better than both of them. But, again, maybe I'm wrong. I haven't gone with Carter and Spitfire in a long time. I schooled Spitfire once when he was flat 3 weeks ago. Mechanically, he was good, but 2 minutes. And then for him to go out and qualify in 55. Not shocking to me, but, again, just so much going on with these sophomores right now. And they're not the only ones. There's a lot of them. And you got to factor in now the huge surprise from More Than You Know the other day. What can we do with him? He's only staked in Pennsylvania, so he's staying there. Tim's calling me, what should we do with this horse? I said, Tim, I'm going to try and manage our Pennsylvania stock this year. You're a big part of that. You're a huge component of that. I just don't know if having Tim ship More Than You Know to the Poconos and then to Philadelphia is a wise use of our infrastructure, so to speak. I think maybe shipping him down to Megan and then letting him race, but that there has to be give and take. Carter Michael Dio and Spitfire has to come back to Tim after the All-Stars, and depending on how Crantini races and how Megan feels about him, that's a possibility too. I know she's super protective of him, so that may be a different conversation. But as I said to Scott and I said to Megan, we have a ton of really talented horses coming up. We have to gear up and figure out what we're going to do. New York horses, they look really, really, really good right now. The two of them, Blanton's Blue and Really Don't Care, the 2-year-olds. So how do we race them? Does Megan play into them? So a lot going on. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Carter Michael Dio was amazing, and a lot to talk about of a lot of sophomores today. A little round table, if you will, later on. And then Locatelli was great again, just picked off for second, 26-2 in the end of it, a mile and 53. You're going to see Locatelli trot 52, 53, 52, 53, and then you're going to see him jump up like he did when he went in 50-4 that night. He can put himself in a position. If you put him in a position to win that mile in that race, he won't be out trotted. Like, if that horse doesn't make a break in front of him and James can get to the outside rather than the inside, I think he's a charging second. But he had to kind of corral him, get him up through the inside, and as he was getting him through there, at the last step, that horse in the 2-hole run and probably jostled him a little bit, and he had to come through, and Patriarch Hanover had that full head of steam and picked him up. By the way, a nice horse also. So, I thought he raced great. Just got collared for second, but I thought the horse raced very, very good. So, a huge day for us. The only blemish the entire day was White Tiger. Tiger's going to do that to you, right? He's going to buy you the popcorn and then he's going to throw it in your face. He just does that sometimes. And you just have to roll with the punches with White Tiger. We'll work on him today. We'll talk about, are we going to change his shoes? It sounds like we are. I really don't have an argument not to. James has asked twice now about his feet. Although clinically they don't look like they're bothering him. If he feels that he's trotting like they are, then sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire. So we probably will make that change. Red Overbach, second, raced great. Landing Strip, second, raced great. That's what he could do yesterday. Era of Love, a winner. White Tiger made a break, stay close, a winner. Unbeatable Kemp, fourth, but really a win from when you look at it. This horse, he's there. That's the Kemp we were looking so hard for. And then Carter Michael Dio and Locatelli were great with a first and a third. So looking at the day, second, first, break, first, fourth, first, third. Another really good Monday here at the stable. So, I am on my way over to the barn right now. I think Dominic wanted a drink. That's why I waited again at Starbucks. So there's no lineup. I'm going to get it for him. I'm going to go over and train the babies. I'll come back this afternoon again and talk about how the babies went. Just 3 short sets today. We are 96 hours or less from the open house in Ohio. Lots going on. I want to switch those sets around for Ohio for Saturday. Today, we got to train them again tomorrow. So that's where I'm going today. Got a race this afternoon. I'm going back to Ohio. I'm going to race What a Mission tonight, train the babies tomorrow, race tomorrow night in Ohio, and then back here for Thursday, Friday, and then it's the open house. Take care, everybody.